All right, yo, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're looking good, sounding good, feeling
Looking good,
groovy.
sounding good. And I'm doing great, eh? How are you doing?
Yeah, fabulous. There we go. We've completely cleared up.
Oh, that's magic. The
Have you
power
sent?
of the
Did
internet.
you send the link to some friends to call in, like a Sandy de Carvalho?
Yes.
Did you? Because
Yeah.
they're calling in already. I mean, I don't. I'm happy to get them in already if you want.
Oh, you mean like live, as in like them being on the thing?
Yeah, because they. So that allows them to actually be on the
Ah,
show. That's not a link to watch the
oh
show.
my. Oh, no, I don't think they want to be a part of the show. I think they just want to listen to it.
I should have probably warned you about that. I was like, if you have any friends who want to like join into this conversation, then they can call. That's what
Oh,
that because it's the same
no,
link I
no, no, no.
sent
They don't want to
you.
be no, don't put them on. I mean, don't put them on. You know,
well,
you don't,
well,
you don't want that vibe, eh?
well, then you need to send them the link for the Art Matthews Facebook page. Let me put that.
No.
I don't know. I think I can.
Oh,
It's
is it
you know
okay?
what I'm saying. It's
That's
let
so.
me.
Okay, they go. Okay. Let me send it to them. So funny. Eh? Okay, hold on. That's so funny. Hold on. Let me send it to them.
I got all these. I was getting all these calls. I was like, "She's like, what?" It's like this is crazy. Am I being hacked? That's why I sent you a new one. I sent you rather call it than this one because I don't think I've refreshed the old. I don't know how they. Well, yeah. Anyway, well, I got a friend Nick
Okay,
who's from
well,
Sweden once who does want to call in, so that's cool. I don't know. That's quite redundant and silly putting my Facebook link on my Facebook page where people would have to be on in order to click it. That's a little bit daft. Okay, so all you have to tell people if you want to go on, maybe you know what you could do on your Instagram. You could hold the camera up
hmm
to your. I don't know. I don't know how you want to do this.
okay. I just sent everybody a message to say you just log on to your Facebook page and check it out.
Exactly. There we go. And what I will do
Unless
is
they want to be on the show.
exactly. I'm actually going to copy the link and put it into the comments because I mean I welcome people just call in randomly. I know Nick will. So Nick, this link that's coming up now in the comment section, you copy and paste. Don't do it now. Copy and paste it into a Chrome browser or just straight from your phone, and then you can chat. So anyone who's tuned in from wherever, just giving some people some time to tune in. But Brew, thank you, man. I appreciate making the time. I know you're super busy. I don't know how long you got tonight, but I'll take any and all of it as always.
Dude, it's been long overdue. We had such a beautiful conversation on so many levels a couple of months ago, and the feedback has been incredible. And
Awesome.
just adding so much value is that's what I'm in this for. And everybody came back and said, "Listen, your conversation with Art was beautiful. It was real. It was authentic." And so it was a no-brainer when we decided to do this again. It was like a no-brainer.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I loved it too. I have not had the honor of speaking to too many doctors yet, so it's fantastic. By the way, what I mean, do I address you as doctor? I mean, like Doctor Hanan. I mean, how do I address you? Is that
No,
like
dude,
a
you
legit
address
thing? Do you
me
have
as
to? Well, you're my chom. I mean, I don't know. I mean, doctors can be choms.
absolutely. Yeah, completely. But listen, you call me by my name. My name is Hanan,
Oh,
and
Hanan.
so
Okay.
I've got my PhD in psychology. That's why I'm a doctor of psychology.
Okay.
But yeah, you call me you call me by my name.
Just don't call you late for dinner.
Completely. That's so good. How
Oh,
have you
that's
been?
yeah, bro. I've been good, bro. It's been going. So I don't know if you've been following the progress on this darn boat project of mine that I've been doing. Have you
I
had the
haven't.
okay? You well, when you get a minute, which I know you don't have much of. Sandy's still calling in like crazy. She wants to talk. Let me see what she if she knows what she's in for. Hold on.
Oh God, that is so fun.
No, she's not even a camera. There's not even a camera on her side. So
That's so funny. That's so funny.
here's Desiree
That's
Fouchier
great.
from London. How's it? Thanks for
Oh,
tuning
that's
in.
nice. Oh,
Carlos
look at this
Legend, how you
technology.
doing? And we've got Nick from Sweden. So cool. He's gonna call in a second. He's a dear friend of mine. We jammed in the very very early days, and I know that he's all been going through some stuff. Haven't we all? Damn it, jeez. But let's get back. So 2 seconds selfishly to the boat. Let me actually show you because a picture is worth 1,000 words, as you well know. Can you see the screen?
I can.
Okay, so this is the boat. This is her. She's recently come up
What?
onto the hard in Granger Bay. It's called the Impossible Machine. Obviously, what else do you think? And we've that was before we did the new spray job on her. So she literally has to come out on the hard every year so we can do a hull inspection, so that we can keep her commercial license because I'm a commercially licensed. She is a commercially licensed vessel, and the idea is to we want to sail around the world. We actually want to go around the world as soon as possible, like as humanly possible.
So tell me, I don't know much about it, so just assume that
Okay.
I know nothing about it because I
Okay. So
don't.
there, check that.
So
There's a
what does
little
it mean?
photo.
So what did you do? Did you buy this boat?
Check
Is
that.
that
Look
what
at
you
that.
did? You bought
Look
this
at that. Look
boat?
at that. Can you see that? It's not a boat. It's a freaking liner. It's quite big, bro.
Is that different?
Like they see the Impossible Machine. I was filming it from my SUP, and this is one of those trippy videos. Remember that time when there was no one allowed on Camps Bay? You won't see a single
Mm.
person on Camps Bay in the background there.
Oh wow.
So we were out there living our very best lives. Sorry,
But
what was your question?
what's the drill? So what's the drill? Like you buy this boat and the aim is to sail around the world.
Yeah, well, that's basically the idea. We want to right, like yeah, just it's a crazy idea. So my partner Eileen and I have just kind of gotten ourselves almost, I'd almost say a little bit like we've gone too far in a way. Like what started as like, oh, let's go sailing. We're like, oh shit, are we going sailing? You know, it's like it's a proper thing. So I've had a coastal skipper yacht master since 2010, which was done through RYA. I didn't even know why I got the license. It's such an advanced license. Well, not such, but it's quite advanced because you have to do a good couple of 100 miles at sea and night crossings and things like that in order to get it, and it's quite brutal. So I've had to do it again because the one that I got wasn't recognized. It's the only place in the world it's not recognized. The Royal Yachting Association of the world. The only place that it's not recognized is
Oh really? Yeah.
in South Africa. So I had to redo the freaking license, which let me tell you, it's a hell of a thing, bro. It really is. And but I've done it, and then now I have to go and get that new license commercially endorsed so that I can skipper passengers, paid passengers. But if I don't take paid passengers, I'm allowed to sail her anywhere in the world. And I've gone to town,
And
bro.
is that what you want to do? Is that what
Yeah,
you want to do? You want to
yeah,
sail around the world?
yeah. It really is. So, and here's an interesting thing before we move on to anything, and we don't have to move on to anything because it's so damn exciting. But so the window is she goes back on Friday morning. That's the deadline. We still got. I'm going to be at the yard early in the morning, to make sure that she has her final anti-foul, which is like an undercoat to keep all the barnacles off and stuff like that. And then she goes in the water on Friday. We've got a couple of systems in place. We've got the water maker coming, got the autopilot being installed. We've got a brand new main. I bought a brand new John Deere engine. Bro, you
Just
can't believe.
all that stuff is like French to me. Hey, sure.
Yeah. Got a brand new engine. Anyway, I've done a hell of a lot of work on her, and Yes, sorry, I'm checking comments out. Please refresh my memory. This is the good doc who spoke about anxiety last time. You are quite right, Catherine. And Ian Nottard, in his usual fashion, he'll come with and not pay. That sounds about right. At least he'll pay for a lot of drinks before we leave. But Brew, so I've taken it a step further. Like I've done ship's captain medical stuff. It's called STCWs. You have to do firefighting courses, medic courses, ocean survival courses. Because if shit gets weird out there, bro, it's me, little old rockstar Artie. I have to look after everyone on that boat because I'll be the captain and the skipper. And as you know, it can go wrong.
Why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to do that? Why that?
Um, because see, I don't have kids. That would, if I had a kid, bro, it's just. I mean, listen, I could do it. Well, you can do it with the kids. It's just a lifestyle decision. I haven't had an interest in sailing, and I can't see how you could. I mean, apart from being a multi-billionaire where you can fly your own jet to the seven-star hotels around the world or whenever you want, and buy your island for a couple of months. That's that's not a way, not a bad way of going around the world. But I'm not that yet. And so for me, on my champagne lifestyle with my beer budget, I like to have a 4 bedroom, 15 berth floating home that can go anywhere in the world and is bulletproof to go anywhere. So it's not like I want to go into the middle of the Atlantic. So the only reason I'm crossing the Atlantic is to get to the Caribbean. And then when I get to the chains and the islands, like my mission is to wake up in the morning and go, is that an island? Go, yep, that's where we're going today. Get there, anchor, barbecue on the beach, catch some fish along the way. And I don't know how long it's going to be. So like I technically can't afford to do it, but what I keep telling people is that I technically can't afford not to do it, especially in this day and age, where nothing is a given. We don't know what's coming. We don't know, like if I work super hard for another 10 years and I've got like a lot more in the bank, or just and then what? And then I lose the function of my hip, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like at the moment,
Yeah.
I'm 46, fat and bouncy. I've recovered from quite a few falls and quite a few incidences. And it's gnarly, but I'm not going out there to do the gnarly stuff. I have to do the crossing. So the big crossing will be the Atlantic, and then I'll have 2 instructors with me, 3 offshore yacht masters with me. And everyone, and I'll have a qualified crew of 8 to 10 people while we do that crossing. So I'm not taking any chances. But once I get to the islands, I want to be able to do it with just myself and 1 or 2 people. And so it's called
How do
short handling
you
a
how do you
boat.
manage such a team? I mean, it's a lot of people. Do they all have the same intention?
Yes, they all do. So the crew that are involved are desperate. First of all, they're just passionate about the girl's legacy because she was built by the SA Navy in 1966. She was commissioned to be a student training vessel, and so she's old. And when we got her up on the hardener, we stripped her down to the sand, to the wood, and these old shipwrights came in and they were just looking at the planking, going, they have not seen work like that since the 60s. So she is just such a beautiful piece of work. So yeah, so she's bulletproof. Touch wood. I've become slightly superstitious as a sailor, but not terribly bad. I think it's bad luck to be superstitious. Um, but yeah, man. So I'm in it. I'm going to do it. So let me just finish when I'm going to go. It's going to be in the next month. We're gonna do a proper. It's called sea trials. We have to go out and test everything that we think we've done that's good. But knowing the ocean, it could screw us over within 10 meters out of the breakwater. So I want to spend the rest of the few months here just doing a bunch of charters close to land. If we have any kind of issues whatsoever, we're not too far. I mean, there would never be anything dramatic, but like, if we break a halid or break something on a sail, or if any engine troubles at all, we're fine. We can get escorted home and things like that. So it won't happen. But and then once I'm comfortable that we've kind of put it through her paces, the idea is to go up to Walvis Bay, and I wanted to do it as soon as November, but I think I'm going to do it realistically after season. If they open up for tourists, which maybe you've got some insight about, I don't really know what the new information is. They want to go up to Walvis Bay, and then I want to cross over to Santa Helena, and then straight over to Brazil from there. And then I think once
It's
I'm in the
amazing.
Caribbean, then it begins. And if I float around the Caribbean for a couple of years, I might cycle up and take her back to the Mediterranean, or otherwise I'll just cross over the Panama and carry on the South Pacific. And I have such a yearning for the South Pacific. And then
And what about your music?
I will never write more in my life. I'll take in this whole little portable studio that I've got, and already, I've set the off cabin up. It'll be a studio, but with these kind of mics and the close miking techniques you can get, I can record anywhere. Like the idea is, once we're at Anchor, I'm going to be sitting on the foredeck, like just sunset, acoustic guitar plugged in, jam, straight, write music. So the only thing I won't be able to do is to like send all my music up to be mixed immediately, because I don't do my own mixing. So just to roughly explain, no offense if you don't know, but like when you record music, like if you do guitar, that's one track, and then you do vocals, one track, and then you do the kick drum, and then you do the snare drum, and you do the bass, and you do the keyboards, and they're called layers, but they're called stems. But you obviously do them all in time. But so my last album, I did every instrument, so it's all locked in time, and it sounds like a whole band has done it. But you're just playing it over itself every time. Then you got to get someone to bounce it down into a stereo file, which is how we hear music these days. It's in stereo. I mean, we're getting other levels and other ways of listening, like Atmos and things like that. But music, as we know it, is a stereo file, and all it is a condensation of all those tracks that you put together, all those stems. But it's a specialist job. It's something I can do, but it's like going into a practice, or like I just don't want to. I'm a creator. I don't need to do that. I know where people, where my strengths are. So all I would do is I would just create these songs, and I mean I'd get the mix pretty good, because I kind of mix as I go along the way. I'd create these songs, and as soon as I get to any island that's got 3G, I'll just bang the tracks up to my mixer in like Berlin or something like that, and I strongly believe that I'll write more music than I ever have in my whole life. Because what do? Once your sail is set and you've got the wind behind you and you're trimmed and the autopilot's working and you've calmed down to a mild panic and think the system seems to be going, and you've read every book on board, then, what are you going to do? I'm going to write songs.
It's amazing.
Whereas I must be honest, we're in Cape Town, I was like, bro, it's just, I'll get a phone call in 2 minutes. I've got a mate's birthday down the road tonight. And I'm like, oh, guys, I've got a podcast. Are you kidding? But that's how quickly it happens,
Right.
So distracted.
Art, I've got so many questions to ask you. I know you want to ask me plenty, and for your audience, you can ask me whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I'm dying to ask you some stuff.
Well, by the way, let me just quickly check out. Life is too short. So okay. No, not yet. But I will put that comment up. So sorry, you go.
I want to ask something. So you recognize that you have influenced a whole generation, right? I mean, people were certainly my generation. Partied to your music and fell in love to your music and drank to your music and got married to your music and broke up to your music. I mean, your music is literally infiltrated like the fabrics of a specific generation. From your perspective, I'm just curious, what goes in your mind knowing that your voice, your sound cannot be unlocked from people's true lived adventures and experiences?
So that again, cannot be unlocked?
Yeah, in other words, like you're a part of people's lives, right? But people's history. Yeah. You're a part of people's history. Like you can't undo it. I want to know, what does it feel like knowing that you're a part of people's history?
But that's such a beautiful question, especially the way that you put it as eloquently as ever. Because I do often get like a weird reminder when I'm out. Cause I live quite a recluse life, believe it or not. It's like I've got quite a small circle. I've got a wonderful little village in Hout Bay, and it's our small little crew. But the rest of the time, I'm back home, just with the dogs who judge me, and Eileen, and and so to hear it come like that is actually quite nice to hear. Because I think I've forgotten about it in a lot of ways. And then you do hear people going, Shallow Water, they took it with them overseas, and it was their song that made them come back, like they miss South Africa so much. And, even though it was a love song, it doesn't matter how it applied to them, it's still the greatest. I mean, there's no greater job satisfaction. So I think I do forget that sometimes. I think I was very affected by the Anthem thing that dropped me so hard, bro. Like, it killed me so hard that I kind of forgot everything, bro. I got properly tweaked by that. Like, that I did not. If I hadn't have written the songs and the body of work that I had I wouldn't have recovered from that and carried on doing music and stuff like that at all. So I've had to rely on that kind of legacy factor, and then I had the awesome tip of the cap in 2018 with my solo album that I did in the dungeon here. I got my first ever Sama award of my life. We'd never got one in Just Ginger at all. And that was an album that I did myself. I was telling you, I did all the layers, I did all the songs, everything that you hear was done in this room. So that was cool, but then it had a very weird effect on me because I was like, shit, I've spent 26 years. I've had beautiful highs. I've had one unfortunate, horrific low, which took a hell of a toll on me. And then I've had this nice tip of the cap with the award, and I'm going back and going, fuck, is this it? Is this what I've been busting my balls to be, trying to uphold my persona and try and show people that, that it's all about kindness and grace, and which really is that is me. But like, it's a game. It's a whole game that you play, and eventually, like, in my mind, I'm like, am I going to have to now go and am I going to have to do what every artist in my wonderfully mature age has to now do? I have to go and do. There's all sorts of kind of progressions that happen in a small country like this without having had international recognition like I've still and always have craved. It's like you have to do the usual, and this is no disrespect to anyone, but I'm now going to have to do collabs with everyone, and just to expand my brand and stay relevant and all these things. And I'm just sitting at the back going, oh fuck, I just want to go sailing. Dude, I really just want to go sailing, bro.
Art, how did you? Sorry, I know I'm asking a question. If you don't want to answer, cool.
Not at all.
I'm just so curious. How did you bounce back from the whole Anthem thing? How did you do it?
Bro, it's I'm very, again, glad that I get to talk to someone like yourself about it, because it's been a hell of a thing. That's not something I often asked is with the sincerity that I'm sensing from your side. But the truth is, geez, like no one persecuted themselves harder on earth than I did. It's quite nuts, bro. It would be a psychologist's wet dream to pick into my brain of how I've recovered, and I think to a large part I haven't. I feel like I probably never will. Like I can't watch any of the big tests because I can't see the anthem in the beginning because I want to run away and die to this day. And I'm such a patriot. I love this country so much. I love rugby. I love all the boys. But I have to like purposely plan my life to not be available like at the beginning part of rugby because I'm just still so ashamed. So, and that's 10 years later, bro. So the truth is, I haven't recovered entirely, but I'm confident enough in myself to know what I have done in the past and what I'm still about to do, which I believe is like greatness without sounding, conceited or anything like that. It's like I know I've got a lot more that I'm going to do. I'm going to just a little bit of just a bit more of giving, hopefully, some goodness and positivity to the world. So I have a lot of faith in that. But yeah, man, it's been a hell of a thing. No one's actually asked me as in depth, especially like on an interview.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Art, because when I talk to my patients when they go through traumas, where it's like almost like self-inflicted, everybody around them forgives them a second later, but they can carry so much shame and so much guilt themselves for never mind years, decades. I see people that 30 years later, every day they wake up and they beat themselves up like a punching bag, where I'm like, dude, like everybody's forgotten about it. Nobody even knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody's forgotten it. But there's almost like I've got to punish myself in order to kind of redeem myself for this mistake that I made,
Yeah. Yeah, listen, like, so one of my kind of coping mechanisms has been is that I do watch what other people, and it's semi-selfish, but it's not. It's my mechanism, and it's not no harm meant towards any other people. But I see what other people are going through, what they have had to deal with, the scandal in their lives, their trauma, the ones who've lost, like had crazy losses or crazy things, like massive incidents in your life, if you want to call it, that should be soul and life and career destroying. And I go, geez, like, I mean, if this is my cross to bear, then so be it. Like, this is my cross to bear. This is my Achilles heel. This is something that I've had to also. I knew then that it would be something that's something that doesn't go away, unfortunately, pretty much forever. And sadly, it's only me, because I can share with you, there's probably not a day that goes by without it haunting me. It's to this day, not a day.
Wow.
I think I've measured my growth in couple of years ago, like I literally remember, I was like, oh shit, I think it's been about 2 days since you haven't like freaked out about it. That's how
Wow.
I've measured my growth in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Viktor Frankl?
Yes, I have. The Guy in the Concentration Camp. What a book.
Yes.
Loved it.
Yes.
Amazing. I didn't
So
finish reading it, but I
here,
want to. I've got it.
dude, it's a masterpiece. And he wrote a book, actually, he wrote many, many, many books, but one of his most famous ones, the one, is called Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes.
And he found that a lot of physically strong men in the camp emotionally didn't cope, but yet some physically weak men thrived. And he wondered how come, what was the common denominator?
Mm.
And he tells stories of families being led into the gas chambers, knowing that they were going to die, but on the way there, they were singing and dancing. And he said, everything can be taken of a man except the last of all human freedoms, the
Yeah.
freedom to choose one's own attitude.
Yeah, I love that.
The universe can't take that away from you. The universe can screw everything up for you, and that's not up to you. But what nobody can take away from you is your attitude at any given circumstance. That's for you to own. That's for you to own. And people that don't make that choice themselves, what ends up happening is that they let the universe make that choice for them.
Huh.
And you remember I told you my favorite quote of all time, my favorite, I told you last time, is if you're not the chess player of your life, you're a pawn in someone else's.
Right.
If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up, I mean, actually, you know this as a skipper, if you don't have clear direction,
Yeah,
if you don't have
screwed.
clear intent, you'll end up where the waves want to take you.
Correct.
And you know what, and you can't control the waves. It is what it is.
No.
It is what it is.
For sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the way you react to the waves,
respond, yeah.
that you can exactly. And we all go through we all have our cross to bear. We all go through things that we are embarrassed about or ashamed of, or things that we've done wrong.
Yeah.
The trick is, for me at least, is never to live in those moments.
Yeah.
Never to live in those moments.
Yeah.
Because that is the perfect recipe to burn out.
Yeah.
For me, it's about living in the potential of what you could become.
Listen, I completely agree with you. It's a little bit harder, easier said than done at times. I'd like to believe that I've kind of applied most of that logic to the best of my ability, but wow, bro, it's been the biggest challenge of my life. And then again, as I say, I do look at other people's channels. It's all perspective. I look at other people's channels. I go, oh my god, if that is my embarrassment, like wow, then I'm actually lucky, to be honest. Like then I can't. Then it's a bit of like a first world problem embarrassment, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because it's not, and if that's my cross to bear, it's so not. Yes, it's not cool. I would take it back a million times, and I know people in life are like, you don't regret anything. I go, I regret that. I would love that to have never have happened. I believe that the man I've become as a result of it, I'm super proud of him, and I'm proud of what I've done. So I do, to a degree, believe that it has shaped the course positively, but mother freak. It's been a thing. Yeah, I got a beautiful comment from Josie Boran. Absolute sweetheart. Thank you, darling. I love you so much. This is very, very sweet of you. And she's a darling. I don't know if you've met Josie or know her, but I'll tell you about her later. But yeah, a lot of love and sweet people in my life. And I'll tell you one thing on the side, and I'm happy to stay on this topic for as long as you want, because also this is therapy for me, because I haven't had much time to talk about it, to be honest, apart from my absolute close circle. The cool thing for me was that, holy shit, did it ever separate the men from the mice and my friends from my not friends. Did that Rolodex empty like you can't fucking believe, and it was the most beautiful thing in the world. Like, and sad, but also human nature, bro. You're a specialist at human nature. Like, how human nature? Like, those are your traumas. The traumas that what's that saying when your friends are there, and when times are good, friends are plenty. When they're bad, whatever that's saying.
For sure.
Friends are few.
For sure.
And so the people that I have in my life, like this darling, Gia has been in my life as well. There's so many really cool legends, like especially a lot of people on just on the podcast in general. Like they're there. They've been around. They've stuck around. But yeah, man, that was something cool to learn. But like, fuck, man, I would have. I definitely would have preferred to not go through that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. But listen, I mean, do you know anybody on planet Earth that hasn't made mistakes, hasn't done anything that they should be ashamed of? The problem is that the difference is that when people make mistakes, it's usually hidden from camera. it's usually done behind closed doors.
Correct.
It's literally, yeah.
It's not done on national television.
It's on national television.
When I
It's on
do
national
stuff, I do it
television.
properly, Hanan. I don't bugger around, bro.
All or nothing.
It's
All or nothing. All or
I won't
nothing.
be messing it up in front of my two friends at the bar, bro. I'll make sure there's
No,
cameras
that's not
rolling.
happening. For sure. And that's why I have a big issue with people that judge, because you judge X, Y, and Z, but actually are you perfect in your own world?
Yeah.
Nobody has the right to judge. But I wanna, I mean, this is not there, we're just having a lack of conversation.
Of course.
But I swear you gotta live in the potential of what you have coming up. You've got to live it. Think about it. Think about it. I'm assuming that one of your loves is making music, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, of course. It is a love. Yeah. Love, hate sometimes.
So imagine like you're playing a guitar, you're making music, you're in front of an audience. In that moment, if I pause that picture and I ask you, Art, what does it feel like? What would you say?
Repeat that question again.
So now you're playing, right?
Yeah.
You're playing your instrument, you're singing in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And you're in your element.
Yeah.
And I pause that picture.
Yeah.
And I say, what does that feel like?
Yeah, it's weird because that feels like home. It's weird for me because it also feels like work. It's been so long, but always just amazing. I'm so lucky that it feels good, and the reciprocal.
How good does it feel? On a scale of 0 to 10.
Playing music in front of an audience, it's gone down.
Yeah,
bro. It's gone down, to be honest. And like, it's still cool, but it's sorry to not be able to give you a number, but let's say a 7 at the moment. Yeah. I still love it. I mean, I still absolutely love it. And you'd be hard pressed to believe that I wasn't having a good time, because I really am. Even if by my criteria and my standards, certain gigs will be better than the other, but it's by fractions that no one in the audience would probably notice. And of course I love it. I mean, can you get any greater job satisfaction in the world? Like I've worked with young bands who had one hits on radio, and they would come open for us, and they would get so into themselves that they wouldn't play the fucking one hit that they had on radio, because they were like, oh, it's like I'm just trying to do my own like freestyle jet. I'm like, fuck, do the fucking business. That's why you're here. And so you will seldom see a gig where I won't play Shallow Waters. I'm so honored. Are you joking? I mean, are you joking? What a massive honor. And yes, I've sung it 20,000 times. And so if you want to nitpick it, you could perhaps pick up sometimes the sincerity, but I'd personally doubt it, because every time I deliver it, I go beyond how I wrote it in the song, and I literally go to everyone and how they might be feeling in the moment, and that's where I sing it from. I don't sing it from myself anymore. I sing it from a point of how they might be feeling it, and from what they've taken from it through all these years, if that makes sense.
Completely.
Yeah.
I told you, your voice is interwoven. It's part of people's lived experience. You know how big that is? You are part of a generation's history. You are part of a generation history. So when my generation goes up to heaven and God goes, oh, let me see your life, you're a part of that life. I mean, that's the stamp. That's the tattoo that you've had on people's existence. I mean, that's the reality. That's the reality.
You're hitting
That's
me in
the
feels
reality.
here, bro. You're not supposed to be doing that right now. We're supposed to be talking intellectual stuff about anxiety. And
Okay, we'll get there. No, but that's the truth.
I'm a pirate, bro. I'm not allowed to cry on my own podcast.
but I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. And people cry to your music because it's sincere. And that's the place that you should live. That's the place that you should live. Whatever you're feeling, like the love that you get from your audience, the love that you get from me, and the love that you get from actually being a stamp in people's existence and people's adventures.
Yeah.
That's it. You're a stamp. You're part of people's DNA. That's the place that you should start from. That's the place that will help you yourself forgive yourself, for sure.
Oh, thank you, bro. I'm telling you, I will having those tools reaffirmed will certainly help. I appreciate where that's coming from, because I don't get to hear it because I do get to hear it probably on the side, and then very sweetly so they go, oh, don't you get bored of hearing this? And I go, you know what, in this day and age, it's like, no, thank you. It's a beautiful validation. It's not like Justin Bieber walking out with it's far and few between, and I'm isolated enough in Hout Bay and pretty much wherever I go that there's no harassment of any form. So when someone feels the need to tell me any impact that I've had on them or anything about songs that I've had on them, they go, "I'm sure you hear it all the time." I go, you know what, potentially more, like a lot less than what you think. But so I just want you to know that in this moment, thank you. It's a massive, massive honor.
It's real, brother.
And
It's
you've done
real.
that again for me, you old, you old
It's
so.
real. It's real. And I want to
Thank
tell you
you.
something about maybe just jump to validation.
Yeah.
People think that I should be self-sufficient and not get validation. I should be self-sufficient and not get validation because validation is seen as weakness. And we all need, I'm telling you, as human nature, we
Yeah.
need feedback. We need feedback. By
Yeah.
the way, when you're sailing, can you sail without a map, without instruments, without some form of feedback from the environment?
No, you need
What
feedback
if you
from the whole
sail?
crew.
What if you sail? What if you sail just on gut feel? What will happen?
Oh, you'd.
Exactly,
I won't be on.
exactly,
I won't be on board with that,
exactly,
skipper.
exactly. You can't navigate life without feedback. You
Yeah.
can't navigate life without feedback. You need that feedback.
Yeah.
The question is where you get that feedback from. You know, a lot of people get feedback from other people that gaslight them. But we
Correct.
need that feedback. We need that validation. We work hard on our marriages, on our relationships, in our work, financial security, health, and we need feedback.
Yeah.
You know, so this is authentic feedback, dude. I mean, the real deal.
Bro, it's big because you know I've only unpacked it a little bit with some mates, you know, and they're all sensitive, they're all very cool, and you know it's just it's been a weird human nature observation again is that it's so weird. Like some people, and I know they don't mean it because I'm not calling them imbeciles, but they're slightly imbecilic, and because they do not have the wherewithal to realize, like if I knew that you had some moment in your life where you had like some marriage where it broke up because of some crazy scandal because of some, and I know that, and it's very common knowledge. That's not the first thing I'm going to be talking to you about. Like later on, if we become traumas over a lot of beers, kind of like we have now because of our second podcast, it might be something we can talk about. But you get the average person who, like in their mind, I don't know whether it's a closure thing or just a burning thing for them to just feel the need to verbalize it. But it's like it's weird. They feel the need to have to say it still 10 years later, and that's in their mind, that's their form of connection with me. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. I would never, ever, I've just met you. I'm not going to talk about, so how is your slag ex-wife? Or, you know what I mean? Crazy example. Or what? No, I don't know why I even use that. So I apologize. But you know what I'm saying? Like, any of your darkest things that you've had go wrong in your life, or like, how's that business that went under? Like, I'm not going to go, hey, how you doing? How about
For
that
sure.
business? Are you running business as well? Again, you know, like, it's just a human nature thing, and I've had to learn tools. I'd like to think I've been pretty good by it, but it's so weird. It still affects me. So I've just got to figure out. I've just got to know that they're idiots and they're sweet and they don't mean that. So I know that they're actually not trying to alienate me or be rude because most of them are quite enamored to have met me, and they just feel that
Yes.
that icebreaker is the one. But what they don't realize, it's like it's horrible. It's not cool. And of course it's always going to be there to talk about at some stage, but it's not part of a traditional greeting.
For sure. But you know what the difference is, Art? The difference is you obviously are very intuitive and you pick up the intent very quickly. If you speak to somebody and you realize that they're asking you a question with a malicious intent, in other words, they want the story. They
Yeah.
want to feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
They're not really asking you from a genuine place of inquisitive and how can I be part of your journey?
Yeah.
You pick it up and then you go, that's fake. That doesn't feel real to me. But the
Yeah.
moment the intention is authentic, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
You want to talk, you don't want to talk, you want to, whatever. I'm here to hold and contain. Then that comes from a much more authentic and real space that makes you feel a lot more secure. And it's a message for everybody, you know. If you want to
agree.
ask somebody a question, come from an authentic place. Otherwise, don't ask the fucking question.
I totally agree. It's so weird. People just, we don't have filters, man, and it's. I think we're all guilty of it to a degree. When you meet a celeb, the first thing you do is talk about your favorite movie. We all do it, or your favorite movie of theirs. And sometimes we have better nights than others, or better encounters than others of how we carry ourselves in certain situations. So I believe that everyone isn't inherently always an idiot in an environment like I'd like to believe. I always give people the benefit of the doubt. I would like to forever. but it is just odd. It's not the greatest icebreaker, especially when, as you said, like I can detect the intention. And weirdly, when the intention is even meant to be a joke, it's like fuck, man. Like they also like I will laugh at myself. I do that from morning to night anyway. But there's some jokes we just go, that's actually more of a trauma
Yeah,
than a joke. Do you know what I mean? It's a fucking trauma.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
100%. Because there's always a time and a place, I guess, for everything. And a lot of people are not sensitive, never mind to what they say, but when they say it. To
yeah,
say the right thing at the wrong time is
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
To
yeah.
say the right thing at the wrong time is wrong. And by the way, that's a message for all relationships. If you turn to your partner and say the right thing at the wrong time, it comes off wrong. So you got to say the right thing at
At
the
the
right
right
time. And
time, I
there's an
agree.
art to it.
I
There's an
agree.
art. There's an art to it.
Yeah, yeah, I know. There definitely is. I'd like to get to a place where I'm completely impervious to any and all of it, and I must believe, for the most part, I am. Sadly, I am at a place that if somebody, for all their best intentions, just happens to feel that needs to be an icebreaker for me, that I'm going to be an immediate. It's going to be a slight judgment. I'm going to go. Oh, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of empathy, a lot of intelligence going on, a lot of EQ going on with this person, and I can almost sense that, like immediately, this is going to be a tough conversation for me to want to pursue.
For sure.
I'll be very
For
polite in the
sure.
moment, but that's not a trauma. Is going to be immediately. I mean, it could change. It's not like they're condemned to hell if they do that, because I do also understand it.
That's
But it also, again, it helps separate the mice from the men, and I just find it a bit of a sad human nature thing. Especially, I think mainly a lot of people don't realize how traumatic it was for me, actually, because they've
I
seen me.
believe you.
I'm very happy-go-lucky. I do laugh at. I still have to laugh at it, but it's very serious for me because it is my country, and it affected people very, very hectically. So I don't want to laugh at anyone else's trauma. But anything else, I will, like, I'm the first oak to laugh at myself. So I've. Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting. This
Can
conversation has
I
been
ask you one
great.
more? Can I ask? I just want to ask you one more thing about
Please, will
that.
you
Did
ask
you
me
feel
10 more
that?
questions? This is the
Uh,
best.
uh,
And then send me your bill for
and
the
then
therapy.
you sent me your bill. I told you. I mean, this is my honor. Um, did you find that when that happened, did you find a lot of support as well?
Yes. Yes. Actually, I had
People coalesced around you.
wonderful support from the rugby community, actually, eh? And like John Smith, who's a chum of mine. He was the captain of that particular team, and he walked in, and I was devastated backstage. And he came and he just gave me a big hug, and he was like, "Bro, it's all good. We all do that." And then he gave a bunch of examples about how other big legend rugby players have missed a score-winning
Like a
try. They
sitter.
missed a tackle or missed a sitter, and this traumatized them for life. And so people have shared things like that they can't get over. So I've got great support from the rugby community. I think people in general are very cool about it, like very, very cool. I think I had one encounter that there was actually some aggression about it, like, and it was years later. It was so fucking odd. It was one encounter, and I did what I just have always done. I literally, the guy provoked me super hard, and I just turned around. And
Wow.
even
Wow.
while he was walking
Wow.
around, he was going, "Yo, walk away, bro." It was like proper Joe going. I was like, what
Wow.
the fuck? I was like, if I turn around now, I'm gonna go to jail because
Wow.
I'll flatten you so quickly. But what am I gonna do that for? So he's like, "Yo, bro, walk away, bro." I was like,
Wow.
I just remember going,
Wow.
"Oh my god, you're
Yeah,
telling me
people
to
are
walk
nasty,
away."
hey?
So it's the one story that I've had in my whole life of that. The rest of them has been cool, and I'll tell you another interesting thing about it while we're on the topic. As much as it's hurtful for it to be the first point of conversation, there's the other element of it that is such an elephant in the room that I'd almost prefer we just all go, "Okay, are we all cool with that? Sorry, I fucked up. Now can we carry on life?" Do you know what I
Right.
mean? It feels like there is a way because
Right.
people do know about it, and the elephant is in the room. And for the most part, 99% of people are so sensitive about it and don't and do know that, but it's still there. So it's been a weird conflict for me. Like, what do I do? Do I go on stage and do I introduce myself as that and go, "Hey, can we just clear the air? This is fucking 10 years later." Do you know what I mean? It's like, or what do I do? What's the solution? And for the most part, I haven't
No,
haven't felt the need to, but like yeah,
do you have something interesting?
yeah, please,
There's a concept in psychology. We call it the wine glass effect.
yeah,
And what that means, actually, I mean, the name doesn't really justify the research that they did around it. But what that means is like whenever we fuck up, whenever we make a mistake, we think everybody noticed and everybody's talking about it. And that's all everybody, that's on everybody's mind. And it's actually no one cares about it.
Yeah.
And it's not nobody's mind. It's only in ours.
Yes.
You know, do you remember, I mean, you're my generation. Do you remember, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, there was a pimple cream called Oxy-10. Do you remember Oxy-10?
I do, of course, yeah.
Anyway, there was a great ad on TV. Listen to this. There was a great ad on TV, and it was a chick. It was a school girl, and she's closing her I don't know, what do you call it? The thing where she puts the bag. What's it called? Like the whatever she's
locker.
closing to
the locker.
The locker. She's closing a locker, and there's a big, massive lobster like this on her face.
Oh shit.
And then it's like, then it gave the ad for Oxy-10, and I love that ad because when you have a little pimple, to you it's a big, massive lobster covering your face.
Right.
Nobody can notice it. Nobody can tell.
Yeah.
But you think it's the biggest lobster in the world.
Yeah. That's
and
great.
whenever we are sensitive about something, we think everybody can see. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's mentioning it. Everybody know when you see people whisper, they're definitely talking about that thing. But actually what you don't realize is nobody actually cares.
Yeah.
No one actually cares. People care about their own lives, their own kids, their own health, their own insecurities, their own COVID, their own travels. They don't actually care about your little pimple that you think is a lobster.
It's a lobster, yeah. Correct.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
I totally agree with you. And if you think about it, I mean, how easy is it for that incident in particular to be immediately superseded and trumped by literally the very next thing any of our politicians say, and anything any world leaders say,
Exactly.
and any shit that happens.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
Exactly. It's like, a pimple. It's a pimple, dude. It's a pimple.
It's a non-headed pimple.
Exactly. But to you, it's a lobster. To you, it's a lobster, and I get that. But you got to give it the gravity that it deserves, and the gravity that it deserves, it's a pimple.
Yes.
That's the gravity that it deserves.
Yeah.
It's a nothing in everybody's existence.
Yeah.
It's a nothing. You know, so for the first 3 minutes, it was a thing, and then 3 minutes later, people are worrying about what that politician says, and the state of our economy, and this crime, and my COVID, and your stuff.
We have about this country is that we've got a lot of other characters doing a lot of distracting things, and then we have the world and what's going on in this moment where it's getting even more and more nuts. Where you look at trivial things like that, and to quote that guy in that movie, it's like, "But did you die?" It's like, no, and like no one died. I died a little. I died a lot, but we go on, and I'm stronger and tougher for it for sure.
You know what, Art? The thing is that I think this is a great message for people who have gone through traumas, and I deal with this on a daily basis. And I tell people, you don't have to define yourself by that. You don't have to define yourself, and I'll share with you how you do it. But you don't have to define yourself by that moment. You can define yourself in any way you wish, and I always tell people, define yourself by the potential of what you can become. But the question is, how do you do it? How do you do it? So here's a rule of thumb. Whatever you invest into is what you value. Whatever you invest into is what you value. Think about it this way. If you're investing in your line and your boat, right? Do you value it?
Yeah, of course.
Why do you value it, by the way?
Well, for me, I value it because it's a passage to freedom. Well, it's a passage to creative freedom as well, and to seeing the world that I still want to see.
Right. And here's the thing, though. The more you invest into something, the more you value it. Yes. The more you invest in something. So think about it this way. Imagine you run two businesses, business A and business B. Business A, you've invested R1 million into. Business B, you invested nothing.
Yeah.
Which business do you care more about?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, because you're invested into it. And by the way, it's no different for marriages. Yeah. It's no different for events. Yeah. The more you invest into something, the more you care about it. The more you invest into something, the more you care about it. The less you invest into something, the less you care about it. So the famous book, I mean, it was, I think, the biggest book 2 years ago, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah. I read, unfortunately, listened to the audiobook in the car. Because I didn't give a fuck.
So that book worked so well for me. I didn't even read it. I didn't even read it. Just the title. Just the title.
Just the title was so strong that I fucking didn't even bother reading it.
So the secret, if anybody wants to know the subtle art of not giving a fuck, the secret is not to not give a fuck, but the secret is to direct your energy to things that you should care about. That's the secret. We can't not care. Not caring is pathological. People that don't care, we send them away to prisons, and we send them away to psychiatric wards. You can't not care, but rather direct your energy into things that are the most valuable. And you choose that. You choose what you direct your energy into.
Yeah. Right, that's true. I mean, it goes back to what we spoke about, I think, last time, that only you could choose to be offended. Do you remember us talking about that? It's all a choice.
For sure.
You know, it's all a choice. Everything for me hanging on to this shit is my choice. I've chosen to, but it's weird because I haven't kind of gotten to that aha moment yet. Where I haven't had an enlightened moment. Maybe I'm going to go and do an ayahuasca ceremony or something like that, and maybe I'll purge it all out. I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not desperate to do it. I know it's what I do know about myself, though. Even though this has been a 10-year struggle, is that I am pretty damn good at bouncing back. I have in many ways. I'd like to think I haven't produced finer work since then, and I believe the best is yet to come, and just what I'm achieving already. So it hasn't been debilitating. I'll share another sad thing that I felt with you. This is super vulnerable. I don't care. This is the time and place and the year and the time to be doing it. It was a bit of a shame to see South Africa turn their back on me in a way. There was a percentage turn their back on me, and it's understood. I completely get it. Like, I wasn't even angry, but I was like, wow, man, you sing songs, you write songs about peace, love, and tolerance. You write songs about home. You write songs about here's to you. I've written anthems for this country since I was 20. Do you know what I mean? And I fucked one up, and my first album didn't get played on any radio. I got songs pulled from everywhere. I got demonized. I had people, crowd numbers dwindled. And I feel to a big way, and to a large degree, that I had South Africa turn their back on me. And while I got it, I couldn't help but think it's slightly unfair. I was like, wow, that's a bit unfair. I've been a servant of South Africa, actually, and it made me question all sorts of reasons as to why people even get so caught up on their own land, or like this whole patriotism thing. And it has made me have to question it. Going, like, really? We're all freaking out about this little thing on the southern tip of Africa that doesn't belong to us, a spinning ball of mass of which we're what the fuck is going on in the world? And here we are, we've drawn a line on the southern tip of Africa, and everyone freaks out about an oval ball that goes over a line, and there's a theme song associated to that country, and if you fuck that up, you can be ostracized. It's like, fuck, I've had to go, wow, that's a hell of a nuts thing to think about.
Right. But how did you bounce back from that? I mean, how did you forgive? Did you forgive?
I totally forgive, because in the moment I was like, listen, I understand some people are so passionate and so patriotic about rugby and the country, and I get it. There's times where I go, really, about the country? You're that passionate about South Africa? Like, we haven't really got much. As musicians, we've been fucked. A lot of sectors screwed. ANC's torn us apart, stripped the place. The apartheid government was most disgusting, etc., etc. So what is this allegiance to this land as such? I'd be allegiant to the people, the best people I've ever met in my life. So I've never held a gripe. I just found it unfortunate because there was a very definitive dwindle in popularity, attendance to shows, all sorts of things, sponsorships, all sorts of things that really, I think, slightly unfairly happened. But again, I kind of get it. I'm like, shit, man, I didn't realize.
But Art, was that real though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But was that like quantitatively real? In other words, you're saying that straight after this, you can measure it. You can measure the popularity.
My first solo album didn't get one song to radio. The last one I did, I had 5 singles off it and won a Sama Award. But my
Wow.
yeah, my first solo album,
Jeez.
like I got pulled from radio. I'm like, fucking hell, really like wow, I didn't know it was. I didn't know I'd insulted your mother. It's like so
Wow.
yeah, so that was a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow, and I do still feel it in a way. Like I feel the kind of the legacy that it was and that you so kindly spoke about earlier, and the impact that we had was a little bit unfairly dismissed because of something like that. And don't get me wrong, this is not I'm not a woe is me kind of guy, because I'm still the most blessed gap tooth guy that you'll ever see. I have a castle and a boat. Who the fuck am I? I'm like, I don't care. I'm fine. Don't worry. But I do,
For sure.
I do, it's hard to sit back and watch, to actually visibly notice that. And you can't help but wonder, like either the later music is shit, or you can't help but correlate that there could be
Yeah.
something to do with that. And it's been interesting. But I'll share one more thing. It's like I feel in many ways that piece of humble pie and that complete cut down to fucking less than size, I think saved me, bro, because I'm a bit of a wild character. I mean, the fact that I'm here today shows you that I'm not out of control, but I don't know what I would have done with excessive success and wealth at that age, even 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how I would have handled it. I don't know if I would have been a nice person at all. Would I have OD'd on drugs? Would I have spent it all on, you know what I mean? Who knows? Like, so I do have these things that I go, look, there's a reason that I've been able to do these things, and it's been a lot harder. It's been a hell of a lot harder as a result since it, but it's made me appreciate everything when I do get it. And so it's things like that I do look at going, shit, I'm still trying to validate why, you always try and justify why these things happen in your life, and then you get people go, I have no regrets whatsoever. Like, fuck you. Come on. I don't know anyone. I don't know if you do. I really don't know anyone who doesn't have proper regrets. How you, as you say, how you deal with it, is everything. How
Yeah, for sure.
that
For
attitude saying
sure.
is the most important. I'd love you to repeat that Frankel statement
Sure
again.
quote.
Yeah, that quote. But it is everything. So, but
It is everything.
I
So
agree.
can I ask you another question in
Yeah,
line with that?
yeah.
And by the way, feel free to ask me whatever you want, actually. But I mean, again, um, last time we chatted, and please forgive me if I don't have the exact detail, but I think you said you lost your brother and
Yes,
your dad. Is that
yes,
right?
yeah.
And how did you deal with that grief? I'm curious. How did you deal with that loss? Were you close? And
Uh,
how did you make peace with that?
So the father's an interesting story. He was an affair. My mum was married to a paraplegic. He worked in the mines, and his name was Errol Matthews. So she was married, and he had an accident, and she married him very sweetly and romantically in hospital, but he could never walk again.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. 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 Wow.
he
Wow.
could never,
Wow.
yeah, he could never,
Wow.
he could never. She
Wow.
married him in his hospital bed when he'd been diagnosed a paraplegic for life.
Wow.
And so, sorry for how rude this may sound, but you can imagine the sex life wasn't that incredible. Couldn't have kids. Met my dad, very attractive. I mean, obviously, look at that.
Obvious.
I mean, met my dad. He was a bit of a player, but there's a sub story to it which I'm gonna share. It's nowhere near as scandalous as or at least equally as scandalous as any other family goes through. Dad is a player, boxer, Andries Petrus Stefanus Brits, properly Afrikaans. That's my dad, Andries But they used to call him. So Dries. So she meets him, has an affair, gets pregnant, doesn't realize he's got a whole fucking other family on the side.
Wow.
She finds out, freaks out. Errol Matthews, super, super wealthy person. In those days, if you, and I think maybe it still applies. I don't know much about marriage, but if you commit adultery, you're not entitled to any kind of settlement in a divorce. I think it's different now, but in those days, he kicked her out completely. She had nothing, not a single rand, and
Wow.
she ran away from Andries Petrus Stefanus Brits, my dad, when I was one. I had a weird memory of waving goodbye to him, like somewhere in
Wow.
Roodepoort,
Wow.
in the backseat of a car. He was next to like some furniture. I could just remember it was a second-hand furniture shop there, and then here's something that might be worth some more unpacking one day. But like, I didn't think of him again growing up.
Wow.
Did not, and in fact, like I remember scary stories of people going, "Where's your dad?" I was like, "Oh, he's dead." I had no idea. There was me like 7
Wow.
pre-primary or like 5 pre-primary school, 7 grade 1 or whatever it's called. And they go, "Where's your dad?" I go, I think he's dead." So like, I didn't mean that. I wasn't trying to be funny, but like that had been my already coping mechanism because I was so stuck. It was just mom and me. Life was super easy. I was living on the beach on the bluff in Devon. And I was like, wasn't really too stressed. And if anything, I'd seen other families and other kids with this mother and father configuration, and it was just horrible. First of all, you have to ask permission twice from 2 people, and usually, unfortunately, in those days, and the area that I lived in, most of the men were pretty damn abusive, pretty horrible. And I was like, fuck, I don't miss it at all. And then one day, I was 16. One day, it would have been the 23rd of March, X year, and I think I remember it wasn't on my 16th, but I remember saying to my mom something to this. I do kind of joke because I can't remember the exact what I did, so I've added a bit of I've embellished it a bit. But I kind of said to mom, I was like, "Where's that other male guy? The tall guy who throws the ball back at you that I see all the other kids have in their lives. That that dude who like."
Wow.
Who like buys him stuff and buys him, like, takes him on road trips and goes camping and fishing with it. Where's my one of those ones?
Wow.
And she was like, he has his phone number.
Wow.
I was like, what? I was like, I've been telling people he's dead. It's like, what the hell, mom? I kid you not. She was like, oh, he has his number. I was like, you mean what? Like after all this time? No, 16, 17, bro. Like that's a late adult already.
Wow. For sure.
Well, a late teen, obviously.
For sure.
Early adult. And so I don't want to bore you. I'll tell you if you want to hear the story.
Are you joking? This is amazing. This is amazing.
Okay, cool. So I had his number. I was like, tick your phone. Obviously, no cell phones in those days. Went to a payphone. Actually, outside Chillers, where Just Ginger ended up playing some of the legendary shows in Joburg. We lived in Ferndale, the house below Chillers. It was very weird because it was right there. So I went to a ticky box in that mall there, or in that little strip mall, whatever it is. I called this number, and he answered the phone. I was like, "Dad?" I was like, "Yeah, it's Art." And he's like, "What?"
No.
I was like, "It's Art." You can hear, like, you get a like gulp. And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we should probably meet, right? I guess." And he was like, "I would love to." And he was like crying already, like I would love to meet you. So I said, "Okay, Kev, let's meet at 14th Lane in Joburg. There's a Hyperama there up on the hill. I don't know if you know it. I think 14 Lane, whatever." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to meet you at entrance 1 at 11 o'clock on Saturday." I was like, "Fuck, okay, fabulous." Click, my 20 cents had run out. Went to mom and said, "We have to go to Hyperama on Saturday, entrance 1. We go to entrance 1, 10 o'clock, and I'm standing now. I have no idea what he looks like. My mom never sent me a photo of him. Like, I don't even have a reference. So now my mom can't handle it because she left under quite traumatic conditions. She fled from him and his whole family that he had, which was very naughty of Dad. It was naughty of him. But I'll tell you how that worked out. So I get there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and now I'm just looking for old people. I'm just looking for old men. I'm like, just like a cartoon. I'm going, are you my dad? I'm like walking up, and I was like, for an hour later, all the older men have gone, "Fuck off, you weird little kid." This is I was like, oh, damn it, I don't actually have a dad. So I went back home, called him again. I was like, "Dad, thanks so much for the no-shows. Like, it's our first day." He was like, "Where were you?" He said, "I was freaking out." He said, "I was waiting for you at entrance 2. I said, "No, you said entrance 1, Dad. I mean, I was at entrance." He said, he was freaking.
Wow.
So he was at entrance 2. I was at entrance 1, harassing all the old men who came in. And I wonder what he was doing to the young boys at this stage. That would have been quite a problem in this day and age. "Come here, little kid. You look like my son." Like, "Fuck, stranger danger." So I called him again. I was like, "Okay, how about this? Let's be clever. Why don't we meet at a restaurant at a certain time? Then we can't fuck this up." So we went to Northgate, some little coffee shop near the cinema there. Walked in, didn't need to look twice. Saw this old guy, knew he was my dad. Walked up to him and we sobbed like a fucking movie with our arms around each other for like 10 minutes. Sobbed. Didn't say anything. Sobbed, bro. Just sat down, had coffee. And to cut a long story short, I don't know where I got this insight from or why I decided, but instead of having any resentment towards him and what he didn't do for me or give me in my life or wasn't part of in my life, I just immediately decided in the moment, I was like, you know what, there's nothing we can do about that. I would like to get to know you now. I'm not going to blame you for anything, and I'm not going to blame Mom. She had all the same reasons to run away, and I don't feel like getting into all that shit right now. Like, it's been 16, 17 years. This is what I've done. Check what I can do. I can play drums. I was starting to play drums. I was like, oh, by the way, you're 17 years late. Can you get me a drum kit? He was like, yeah, of course. So he bought me a drum kit for my college that I was doing. That's kind of the only blackmail that I ever did on him about him not being around. I was like, give me a drum kit. I was like, okay, Kev. And we just ended up having the most ridiculous love affair that you can ever believe. We played golf. We got drunk. I remember sitting in a bar with him one night. We were so drunk. And I was like, Dad, what the fuck does ARD mean? ARD. What the, are you fuck, what? What is ARD? So my mom's got her version of the story. Her version is, and I must probably just check it out again. It doesn't matter. She tells me. She tells me, she goes, because her lung collapsed in hospital. I think she smoked all throughout her pregnancy. It was in the days when you didn't realize how bad it is, which is why I'm only 7 to this day, but it's okay. But her lung collapsed, and she got rushed into some surgery, and my dad was at the hospital drunk or something like that. Obviously, he was just there. He was just at hospital. You don't have to say that he was drunk. He was obviously drunk.
That's a given. That was the given.
Wherever he
that was the standard.
He was just, if he was somewhere, he was drunk.
That was the default position.
Exactly, default hydration status. My mom was a fan of Art Healy, Art Blakey, the drummer, Art Garfunkel. She'd always wanted to call me Art, A-R-T. And she tells me that when she told my dad to go and register my name, that he came back and fucked it up and made it A-R-D. And that had been all I'd understood about my dad. And I was like, oh, okay, it's cool. And for the longest time, I hated A-R-D because it was just... So I've got a lisp that not a lot of people will know. I went to extensive speech therapy when I was younger, just to hide it. But like, if you catch me unaware and I say my name, it does sound like I'm saying odd instead of ARD. Do you know what I mean? And people go, oh, ODD. I'm like, oh, fuck, no, maybe ADHD. So eventually I was just like, I don't feel like it's art. It's just too much of a pain. It's art. Like people, art. Okay, it could be Arturo or whatever the fuck you want it to be. But can we just get on with our lives now? So I remember up until the age of 35, I didn't realize how cool my name is. And then,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's weird. And then it's like, it's the same thing when you grow up on the Bluff, which is like the low class area. You know, it's like later on you get your gangster tats. You go, fuck, man, I'm from the Bluff proudly. Like, fuck you. Like, that's where I grew up. It's beautiful. It defined me. It was a beautiful place. I love the Bluff to this day. I always will. Shout out to anyone from the Bluff listening tonight. But where was I going with it? Okay, so then it turned out that it wasn't a mistake. Or if it was a very fortunate mistake, because my dad, our drunk son, was like, what the fuck is ARD? What does this mean? And he goes, it means mountain. And I was like, oh, dude. I was like
That's funny.
I was like, bro, at best, maybe AARD is earth. You got it close, but I mean, you're a terrible Dutchman if that's the case, and you don't even know how to spell earth or your son's name or art. He said,
is your dad still alive?
He passed 11, could be 13 years ago. I was in New York, and I'll tell you the cool story about how we parted, which I feel very good about. It's about this unadulterated love affair that we had for each other. Excuse me. And so he said, oh, and I was like, mountain? I mean, are you crazy? So I didn't believe him at all. But I was like, okay, that's not a bad cover-up. I'll take it, even if that's what you think it means. But it's maybe means earth, but it definitely doesn't mean mountain. But I love you anyway. Let's go and play more golf and stuff like that. So So this love affair that I told you about lasted forever. He was so proud of just Ginger and what we had done. He came to show. He used to, yeah. He was very, very proud. And we had this thing with us that every time we saw, especially because I lived in Los Angeles for a long time, from 2003 to 2009, 2002 to 9. And I would come back every year, and obviously see him and do some shows in South Africa. And the one day that I got to see him in that year, or the 2 days, when we left, I would go, Dad, look at me. I love you. And then it became a joke. And he went, hey, I love you. And I was like, hey, don't you start your shit. I love you. And we would play this game until the tears would start flowing because it meant so much. And we meant it.
I love that.
We meant it. So the last time I ever saw my dad was in the driveway of his house in Witpoortjie, and we were playing our I love you game. And it wasn't a game.
Wow.
It's the absolute truth. And then when I got to New York, I heard that he had lost his battle with cancer, and in that moment of sadness, I had to get on stage an hour later. Fuck it, that was pretty tough.
Wow.
It was quite a teary-eyed gig, but I felt good in my heart. I was like, man, we'd had a good time in the little time that we knew each other. I know he loved me, and he knows I loved him, and it'll never haunt me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing, dude. Can I make a connection there? And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to kind of overstep, but it was so interesting because you said that you were able to forgive him the moment you realized that there's nothing you can do about the past, and all you wanted to is to invest in what it was, and you made it the best that it can be.
Yeah.
I just want to repeat that. You learn to forgive when you let go of the thing that you said was in the past and you could no longer do anything about.
Yeah.
And you invested in the potential of what it was.
Yeah.
And what it could be. So, by the way, forgiveness, we were talking about that incident.
Yeah.
The moment you let go because it's done, there's nothing you can do about it, and you learn to invest in what it is and the best that it could be, that's how you let go. That's how you forgive. That's how you forgive. You did that with your dad.
Yeah.
You did that with your dad.
Yeah.
Because you invest, because imagine you spend the next X amount of years, the next 10 years, talking to your dad about what he did to you, how he left you, what he did to your mom, why he neglected you,
Yeah.
Never mind a pain in the ass. I think you'd get up on stage 20 years later and you'd regret the last 20 years of not making the most of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that you absolutely made the most of it and invested in what it was and made the best that it could be, allowed you to get up on stage and go, there are no regrets because I made it. I maximized the potential of what it was. And that's how we forgive. We forgive not by investing in what it should have been, what it could have been, what we had lost, how I wish it was different. If this was different, that was different. We forgive by investing in the current, in what the potential is.
I love that. I agree. It's also a journey for everyone. How it's it's the truth. You say that. I know that. It's about applying it. It's different. In that time with my dad, it had less connotations, if you want to say that. It had less external factors. I was younger. I was probably a little bit, less judgy already, just by being 17. Less hard on myself already. The self-loathing really only starts developing in your later years. But
the difference was, the difference was the fact that you had a willing partner in your dad. Your dad was willing to play the same game.
Yeah,
he was willing to invest right back in you. That's what made it a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
But in this instance, you were on your own, and you have to fuel yourself to invest into things that create value. So I get it. I understand it's a different circumstance. Yeah. And there you had somebody that was egging you on and playing the same game with you.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Which is beautiful.
No, it was wonderful.
It's beautiful when you have somebody. Absolutely. Doing it on your own is much more difficult, but it's doable. At least you've lived that experience that shows you that it's doable.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm currently living it, and it's a bit of a daily growth task for me. But as I say, for the most part, I'm good, man. I live in a castle, I own a pirate ship. Fuck, I'm fine. I promise you, I'm fine.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
That's amazing.
I have my relative health. Wear some wood. I think I'm good. I'm a little bit overweight, but I'm fine. I'm good. I'm strong.
We can always improve.
We can always improve.
Yeah, completely.
I will definitely run in November. I can tell you that. I'll run for something, for president. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually okay. I do get out and about.
and and tell me, and what happened with your brother?
So during the Errol Matthews years of marriage with the no sex life and the no ability to have children, my mom and Errol adopted Mark Matthews. So adopted brother.
Okay.
And but brother nonetheless. And Errol was quite a scorned man because of the paraplegia and because of the adultery and the shock of what my mom did to him. Because of it, he was a very, very, very bitter person. And my brother had always been, man, he battled, man. He really battled. It was just, he's one of those people that you could see like life wasn't really cut out for him. So, or he wasn't cut out for life. Or I think the former is more, because it was just, he took knock after knock after knock, and it never really worked. He was a little bit slower at processing things than most, but in that day and age, it was such a cruel childhood society. Like the teasing was next level. He got, he went to a special school, and he never had the belief in himself that he would ever. He was literally a clinical closet case of someone who just, without extreme love and support from some crazy intervention of people, he was the kind of person who just never believed that he would amount to anything, and he kind of never did. He couldn't hold the job down. I ended up supporting him a lot. He was 11 years older than me, and from the time that I left school, I started supporting mom, and then subsequently, and then my brother, because he was just always on the bones of his ass, and never had a job and was just hustling. So we weren't very close because of that. There was also a bit of a weirdness because I was like, man, you're the older brother. You're supposed to be like looking after your younger brother every now and then. Was one of the things. But I ended up supporting him a lot, to the point like I got him cars and all these things. And it's actually funny. I'm going to share something funny. It really is. My mom and I laugh about it. I'm going to tell you a story. So I bought my mom a car, and then her car went to my brother when I got my mom a new car, right? And so that was kind of how the the cycle of the vehicles went. And when I gave my brother the car, I was like, Mark, here is a car for you. All I want you to do is go and register it in your name. I don't want R1 for it. You don't have to pay me off. I don't want anything for it. And he fucking never did. Not only that, he sold the fucking thing to someone that I still get summons for to this day. He's been dead 7 years. So Mark is still costing me money.
That's funny.
I'm still supporting my older brother. He's been dead for 7 years. Anyway, so the sad part of it, I remember howling like a wolf at the time when I realized that when he got cancer, he refused to get it checked and diagnosed until it was too late. And I think the reason he did that is that he was too embarrassed to ask me for anything more in his life.
Wow.
And I was fucking devastated by that, because I was devastated. I howled like a wolf that he was too ashamed to ask me to get him to some attention when he needed it until it was far too late. So that was quite traumatic. But he had he battled through life. He really did. He left he left a beautiful daughter, Robin, and so I was in hospital with him. I went to what are those places you go to for your final? The most beautiful establishments that you go to for your final days. Hospice, like that. Oh my God, bro! Have you ever been to a hospice? I pray not, and never.
I refuse to.
Okay, but if you
It's
ever,
too sad of a place for me.
it is. But let me change your perspective for a second. Hopefully, if ever you do go, if ever you're looking for angels on this earth, if you don't believe in humanity and you want to go, fuck, are there actually any good people left on this earth? Walk into a hospice. She's like,
Really, I'm sure. You
my
mean
God.
the people that work there?
The people that work
Or
there.
the people that are lying there? Oh yeah, it's
People
amazing.
that work there. I've never seen anything like it, to the point where, like, at the time I was like, for the rest of my life I will only donate charity to the hospice because of how they looked after my brother in his last 2 days that he had. But there are angels amongst us, Brett, and hospice is one of them. So shout out to them and any other facility that does, as morbid and depressing as the whole place is. But goodness, when you have to go
Yeah,
through it and you know that you have these, they are fucking angels on this earth, bro.
I'm sure.
There's
I'm
something.
sure.
There's.
I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't know how you choose. I don't know how you choose to take that vocation because it's must be gnarly. But wow, beautiful people. Anyway,
yeah.
so that's what happened with Mark. With Marky.
To honor people's existence for the last couple of days of their lives at hospice, I mean, geez,
Yeah,
like
make it comfortable
that's
around
an
death,
angelic
bro.
task, eh?
Huge, and I was very impressed. As traumatic as it was, but they were unbelievable. The hospice in Kenilworth
Mm,
in particular. So thank you guys. You were absolutely amazing. Phew, this is a
yeah.
beautiful conversation, this, bro. It's hitting me right in the feels, brother. Thank you. Loving
Yeah,
it,
no,
bro.
this is life. This is life. And I want to tell you, like I'm telling you, people are going to listen to this and you're going to change their lives for the better. I mean, we learn through stories.
Yeah,
We learn through stories, you know?
yeah.
So yeah, but thank you for sharing. I mean, this is incredibly powerful.
Cool. Thank you, boy. Thanks for listening. I
Yeah.
don't often tell that story, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's power. That's power. I have to leave in about 10 minutes. So
No
is there
worries.
anything that you want to ask or anything?
Bro, this has been such a. I can't tell you how therapeutic it's been for me, and I think the timing is perfect. I weirdly sensed it was going to be a short one, and I think it's going to be perfect. I don't even ask how much time you have, so thanks again. What I do want to ask is that we do this again because I think it's powerful. Whether we talk about my story, your story, or anyone else's story that we perhaps invite on the show, I think it could be pretty damn rad. It's like like one of the things about online success, if you want to call it that, which by the way, yeah, okay. I'm diverting here. I do want to ask you. One of the things about online success is when you are appearing to give something of value. That's when people really kind of will gravitate. Like some of the early big YouTubers and the very successful people were people who were like sharing like test secrets on papers or I mean on not that, but they were sharing like arts and crafts or cooking. Those are the ones that are engaging. So if we were kind of having this kind of discussion and just being able to have a free flowing, loving conversation around, around people's stories because we all. That's another thing that people must know is that we all have a story. I mean, fuck me, do we all?
Absolutely.
Every
Absolutely.
single one of us has a story.
We have a story, we have a message, we can learn from each other, we can grow from each other,
Yeah,
we heal through each other. That's the way it works.
yeah.
We don't heal when we're on our own, we heal with each other.
No,
For
I
sure.
totally agree. So I want to
For
ask you
sure.
before you bell, how excited were you at the possibility of Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp being gone forever, or were you bummed?
Listen, not at all. The opposite.
I,
The
I, pro-
the
I
absolute
was so
opposite.
devastated when I woke
I,
up the next morning and saw it reinstated. I was literally devastated.
I know. Like
We
we
can,
had like peace and it was actually beautiful to actually not engage with social media. And the truth is, I'm very disciplined because I don't invest in that stuff because I don't like I don't like comparing my life to anybody else's. I don't like get into stories of other people. Like I don't like that kind of stuff. So I try disconnect anyway.
fuck.
So for me, it didn't like I was just happy that it wasn't around. But if the truth is, if it was working, I wouldn't be connecting anyway.
So, what are your what are your social media strategies in your life so that it doesn't? Because I can confess to you right now, I'm completely hooked. Like I can scroll like this. Fortunately, I'm lucky. I have a multi-level building that I live in, being a castle. So I'm in the very top turret, and I've gotten into one good habit in my life. Thank God. I leave my digital stuff in the middle fucking floor. It stays. It doesn't. The only thing that's up in the bedroom is a fucking book. And as you know, I prefer audiobooks, so I don't have any headphones. So I'm not. So,
Right.
but catch me on a day, catch me somewhere, catch me on the couch. I'm like like I know
Yeah.
everyone is. So I'm a self-confessed addict. I believe we should talk about addict
Oh,
rehabilitation
I'd
things
love that.
that we
I
need
would
to do.
love that.
Yeah,
I
but
would love that. I would
please,
love that
that could be a theme for our next thing. But what do you
for sure.
just before you go? What do you do in your personal life to contain that?
So the thing is that my philosophy is I will not invest in anything that doesn't make me better. Period. I will not invest in conversations that don't make me better. I don't invest in watching anything that doesn't make me better. I don't invest in relationships that don't make me better.
Mm,
I don't because I consider my time is very limited and very sacred. I would rather give my time to my kids and my wife and my best friends and my health
yeah,
and my exercise and my physical well-being. I don't invest time. So I set very strict boundaries in terms of what I consume and I
yeah,
keep myself busy. I keep myself busy enough so that I don't have time.
Yeah.
to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I put strict restrictions, and we must talk about how to do that. I'd love to have another conversation with you, but dude, like
That'll be huge.
this is an absolute. This is as therapeutic as it is for you. It is incredibly therapeutic for me, dude, to be able to share and to ask and to engage and connect and to dance it out with you. So there's so much to talk about and so much to unpack, you know.
There is.
So I'd love to share. I'd love to share how you set those boundaries and discipline within yourself.
I think people are going to be freaking about it. I'll be the first person to listen. Like, what? So I've at least got my one technique where the digital stuff doesn't come up to the bedroom. Thank God, because I know for a fact when I go on holiday and I don't have my different floors, my phone's next to my bed.
It's difficult.
It's difficult. I'm like this till 4 a.m. I'm going, what are you freaking doing? You don't know any of these people. It's difficult. So I'm a self...
Exactly.
And weirdly, I know this is going to sound contradictory. I don't have an addictive personality. If I did, I'd be dead. I can tell you that much for sure. So I don't. But this thing is a mofo. And that whistleblower on Facebook, when they told you about how those algorithms are purposefully sending you the bad vibes and the bad negative shit because it's what people react to more naturally and therefore keeps them more engaged. How disgusting is that?
For sure. I mean, what's that? There was a documentary on Netflix about social media. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah, I saw it.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Social Dilemma.
Yeah. So you saw, listen, these social media companies have rows and rows and warehouses of supercomputers, and they're all designed to make sure that you stay online. So the human brain is not bigger than that. That's just the way it is. And if you fight against that, you'll lose.
Yes.
So I'd love to discuss a few strategies on how to be bigger than that.
Well, we have a title now for our next podcast, which I'm excited about. Now you just need to catch me before I suck off into the fun set on my boat. And hopefully I'll still be land-based. I'm hoping that Elon Musk sorts his Starlink shit out. As petrified as that's a whole nother conversation we're talking about how polluted our planet is with fucking satellites. But if I do get Starlink, then we'll be able to do this from anywhere in the world. But I think we have from now until March to do a couple. The good news is that I'd love to. When I do pull up in Brazil or Venezuela and I get my 3G card, we get to carry this on again. That is the point. I want to carry this on, but I want you to be very pissed off with the background that I have in the back of me at the time, and preferably come join me.
I will be. No, I'll be only happy. I will only be too happy if you listen. You're living people's bucket list.
Correct, bro.
You'd be living people's bucket list. That's amazing.
I intend to, and by the grace of God willing, you know, I think I'm going to do it, bro. I've got to. I just also know me as much as we all falter. I know that when I do stuff, I fucking do it, and I'm doing it. So watch this space. It's going to be cool.
I love it. I can't wait to be a part of that adventure too with you, Ham.
Lekker, bro.
Certainly from far, but that would be lekker.
100%. Hanan?
Yeah.
A privilege,
Art, you're a legend. You're a legend. Really, no, it's my privilege. I'm telling you, you are an absolute legend. You're as authentic as they come. You're as authentic as they come. There's no gamemanship. There's no, what I'm going to say this in order to get that. This is real, and it's 1 in a million. I'm telling you, it's 1 in a million. I speak to people all day, every day. Your authenticity is blinding. Your authenticity is blinding, and it comes through in our conversation. It comes through your music. So it's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure, and I'd love to do this again for sure.
Bro, I look forward to it. Have a beautiful night there, bro.
Yeah, same to you, brother.
Cool, boy. We'll chat soon.
Cheers,
cheers, mate. Phew, guys, that was one for the fields, man. Yeah. Anyway, that was beautiful. What day is it today? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm hoping, depending what time I get the boat out of the water on Friday, I'm meant to have Ross from Prime Circle, but it's going to be an afternoon show. Thanks for the beautiful comments, guys. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a bit of an interesting one. It was quite vulnerable, but you know what? We got to do it. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Kerry, Legends, and Sammy, Joe. Oh, by the way, I'm going to return your book soon, Sammy. That'll happen soon. And just guys, thanks for the love. Thanks for supporting this little weird podcast. I don't really know what I'm doing. Check out the adventures of Follow Tim. I'll put it in here at Follow Tim SV, which stands for Sailing Vessel. That's the boat. Nick, buddy, I'm gonna jump off. I think that was cool. I'd love to have a whole interview with you because you're just a legend in yourself. So we'll set something like that up, or have you involved in another conversation at some stage. I'm going to I'm going to go and chill and just go and relax and appreciate stuff and try and stay away from some gadgets for a little while. So I wish you all a beautiful Wednesday. And thanks for tuning in. And I'll probably see you Friday. Otherwise, watch this space for details. And be good. Be kind. Cheers.